My name is John Brenneman. Thank you for joining us today. I am the president here at MOAA Vacations, and we're joined today by our good friend Tim Birch from Atlas Ocean Voyages. We're going to get started in just a minute. A couple of quick housekeeping things I'd just like to go over before we get started. First off, we are recording this webinar. So this evening, you will receive an email which will have a link to revisit this webinar. We did start right at the top of the hour, so if at some point myself or Tim says something that you'd like to revisit, just make a note of what time it is. The webinar will be about an hour, depending on how many questions we have at the end. And then rather than having to watch the entire webinar or kind of trying to skip through and find it, Tim says something 35 minutes in, you can just fast forward to that part in the video. I am going to talk real quick about MOAA Vacations and kind of my personal experience with Atlas and the procedure for reserving your spot on this cruise. I'm then going to turn it over to Tim. Tim's going to talk about Atlas Ocean Voyages. For those of you who are not familiar with them and familiar with yacht cruising, we are talking about a ship that only has 92 staterooms. So it is considerably smaller than probably most of the ships, for those of you who've cruised on before, have ever been on before. And then Tim is going to go through day by day the MOAA signature group for 2026. I understand that's the reason most of you are here. And then when Tim's done, we're going to do a Q&A and we'll answer any questions you might have. In fact, as soon as I get done, I'm actually going to turn my camera off and I will be online answering questions during Tim's presentation. If it's something that I think the entire group would have interest in, then we'll revisit again at the end, even if I answer it during the presentation. So starting out, Tim, if you don't mind clicking forward one. Always like to start out for the people who are not familiar with MOAA Vacations and tell you a little bit about us. We are the official travel agency for MOAA. We started working with MOAA back in 1998, so that would have been when it was TROA Vacations. We rebranded when TROA/MOAA did as well. So we have a long history of working with members such as yourself. Without a doubt, I would say the thing we are most known for in the travel industry is our level of service we provide. We do try to provide a concierge level of service for any vacation you have. As I mentioned, we're a full service travel agency, so we do more than just the MOAA groups or the MOAA signature groups. A lot of different examples I could use for the superior service, but the easiest one is the fact that we are and continue to be the only travel agency in the United States that offers travel on a satisfaction guaranteed basis. We've been offering that for almost 25 years now. And basically what that means, if you have any problem or concern either before or during your trip, you reach out to us and we get that matter resolved for you. If anyone's ever had a problem with the cruise before, you know, kind of the industry standard is 6 to 8 weeks to get a reply even. We like to get the problem resolved within 48 hours. And we're able to do that because of the relationships that we have with our good friends across the industry, such as Tim with Atlas and everything. We do guarantee the lowest price. In fact, in a lot of cases, we have prices lower than the guaranteed lowest price. And whenever we talk about that, we compare ourselves to what the kind of the current price is. For those of you who've traveled a lot or cruised a lot, you know the travel industry is known for always promoting these huge discounts, you know, save 50% on a cruise, save 60%, whatever that is. But if that price is the same price you can get going direct to the vendor or through another travel agency, we don't really consider those are real savings. They're really just kind of like marketing. For example, there's one cruise line that has been offering 2-for-1 with free air since they started business 20 plus years ago. And if that's the same price you can get anywhere, that's not really savings. So if you go to our website and you look at the pricing we have for the cruises, we literally list the price that you would find on Atlas's website, then what the MOAA price is to show what the savings are. So literally, if you call Atlas and they quote you a price of $5,000 and you call us and our price is $3,000, that's the savings that we promote. We do have a free amenity program. We're going to talk about this a little bit more later on, but what that is with Atlas is any Atlas cruise you go in on, any itinerary, any departure date, MOAA members and their guests will receive a $100 per person onboard credit. Now, for our groups with Atlas, we also get $100 for being a group. So when we talk about this 2026 Western Europe cruise, you will get a $200 per person onboard credit. But that $100 is a free MOAA exclusive amenity that applies to any Atlas sailing. And then the last thing that we offer that kind of makes us unique is the group opportunities. We do have both signature groups and groups with MOAA and other travel companies. And that's your opportunity to travel with your fellow MOAA members from across the country. And actually, I should say across the world, because the most recent signature group we went on, we actually had a MOAA member who lives in France. So I guess it's more than just your fellow MOAA members across the country. So typically someone would book into a group for two reasons. The first would be the camaraderie of traveling with your fellow MOAA members. And the second thing is for the savings and the additional amenities. So what makes MOAA signature groups unique? So I'm going to talk about that. So basically, a lot of times when I talk about MOAA signature groups, I say they're like a group on steroids. So it has the camaraderie, it has the savings, it has the enhanced amenity. But what are the additional benefits? Well, the first one is it's hosted by MOAA leadership and staff. This is your opportunity to interact directly with MOAA leadership, ask them what's going on, so share your suggestions, your advice, your feedback, whatever. It's just an opportunity that a lot of members don't have to sit down and have a drink or have a meal or something like that with MOAA leadership and just talk about this association that you're all members of. They are escorted by someone from MOAA Vacations. The trip we're talking about today, I will personally be escorting. So I will be on board the ship and I will be there every single day. Atlas is nice enough to set me up a table. So when you go to breakfast or lunch or dinner, either myself or someone from MOAA Vacations will be there. So you always have somebody available. And the sole reason we're there is to make sure that your cruise is as much fun as possible. For an example, I actually escorted the most recent MOAA signature group, which was on Atlas. It was Greek Isles back in August. And during the cruise, somebody had the idea that it would be fun to do karaoke. I was on board, talked directly with the cruise director, and we actually had a karaoke night. So that's kind of when we talk about anything we can do to make it more fun. We're there, we have our desk set up. You come up to us and say, we should do this, and then we'll accommodate. Exclusive onboard events and excursions. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. I'm sure Tim will as well, but we will have an excursion that is included. Many people went on Greek Isles, thought it was one of the highlights of the entire cruise. So I will let Tim talk about that a little bit later. Family and friends are invited. A lot of times when we talk about, so currently we are holding the entire ship. The World Voyager has 92 staterooms. We go in, we hold the entire ship. The goal is to have everybody on board the ship be a MOAA member or a MOAA guest. So we want to make sure you know that your friends and family are invited to join you as well. And not just on signature groups, on any trip you book through MOAA, you're more than welcome to bring friends and family along. They receive the same service guarantee, same guaranteed lowest price, the same MOAA exclusive amenities apply not only to you, but anybody traveling with you. And the last thing I always like to talk about is it's a rare opportunity. We had 3 signature groups this year. We only have 2 next year. So if you go to the next slide, the 2 signature groups we have in 2026 is the trip we're talking about today, the one on the bottom, the Western Europe Yacht Cruise. And then we have one other in July. This is a river cruise from Budapest to Bucharest. So if you wanted to go on a MOAA signature group, and they are far and away the most popular trips we do, you only have 2 opportunities. That's why we say they're rare opportunities. So as I mentioned, we know from experience that a lot of times when members sign up for these cruises, it is not only the time to get to Europe, but also the expense. I mean, if you're flying business class, it's 5,000 plus per person. Even if you're flying coach, you're probably looking at, $1,200 to $1,500 a person. For those members who are retired or who have extensive vacation, if you're going all the way over to Europe for a trip, why not extend it? And in fact, the majority of people who go on signature groups do some type of pre or post. Now, of course, you're completely welcome to do your own pre or post. Most of you have probably been stationed in Europe. You might have family or friends who live there, and you might want to go off and do something on your own. But we also like to offer the ability to kind of extend with these trips. So for this tour, or excuse me, for this cruise, and this is all on the website, but just a quick overview, we do have a back-to-back cruise option with Atlas. So instead of sailing from Dublin to Porto, you'd fly into Reykjavik, much closer to the States, so a shorter flight, and you'd actually do the 10-night cruise from Reykjavik to Dublin, and then you'd stay on the ship in the same stateroom if you book early enough for the entire 19 days. We did this for the Greek Isles just in August. We actually had 22 cabins, 44 people booked, and actually we could have sold more if it wouldn't have sold out. We already have 11 cabins, 22 people booked on this back-to-back. So it could be like a mini group of MOAA members on the sailing, and then you stay on board when everyone gets on board. A lot of people mention that if they're sailing out of Dublin, they've always wanted to see Ireland. So Brendan Vacations, who really all they do is Ireland and Scotland, so that's kind of their expertise. We have an optional prepackage with them, which is a 10-day Best of Ireland tour. And then we're disembarking the ship in Porto if you want to extend at the end. We have a Uniworld 7-night round trip Porto to Porto river cruise. So just real quick, those are kind of the options there. Okay. So I mentioned I just got off the Atlas cruise, and for those of you who are currently receiving our newsletter, I wrote my column about this in our September newsletter. But literally, the group overall, myself included, had as much fun as I think I've ever had on a cruise. So MOAA took over the ship, so everybody on board was either a MOAA member or a MOAA guest. The picture here up top is the group photo we took. This is them at the bow of the ship. It was the only place we could find on board where we could fit all of us. And then I talked earlier about the special events and those types of things. I think part of the reason was the cruise was so fun. It was so filled with activities. So during the day, of course, you'd have excursions, and you have a choice of excursions. Quick point, we'll mention it again, the excursions are not included, but you have a $200 onboard credit per person to cover some or all of those, depending on how many excursions you want to take through Atlas. But then in the afternoon and evenings, when everybody was on board, we tried to fill events for people to do. The photo at the bottom on the left is one of the 2 cooking demonstrations we did. So literally they showed people how to do it, had people come up. That the woman in a yellow dress is a MOAA member. They actually had a bunch of members come up, and we're showing them how to make this pasta dish. We had 2 of those. We also had a cooking event, which was kind of a cooking competition. So we had 4 teams who all cooked against each other. And then we had the chefs on board judge a winner. So we had those types of events during the day. They do have a theater on board the ship, even though it's a yacht and it's small with only 92 staterooms, it has a lot of public spaces. So one of those is a theater. So they would do like shore talks in there and those types of things. The middle picture, they did have live music both in the afternoons and evenings. So a lot going on is there. We had the next slide is going to be a video, not yet, Tim, but we did. I mentioned we did karaoke. That was an add-on, but we went into this pre-planned doing a 70s party as well as a dressed in white party. Can you go back one, Tim? Sorry, I had one more picture I wanted to bring up. If not, not a big deal. People will remember what it was. So we had events in the evening as well. But the last picture on that previous slide was you saw 3 women sitting at the pool. When we talk about all these events we did and these fun events, and as you can see, everybody dressed up for the 70s party. And when we run the video, you see everybody dressed up for the dressed in white party. I don't want people to think that something's always going on. In the mornings and early afternoons, you have excursions. Afternoons, we had cooking contests, cooking competitions, those type of events. In the evenings, we had these parties. There's also plenty of opportunity and plenty of places you can go and relax. There is a spa on board. There is a fitness center on board. But there's also opportunities just if you just want to relax in an afternoon and not be involved with all of the onboard activities, there's that as well. So the key to me always is if you want to do something, there's always something going on. If you want to relax, there's an opportunity as well. So this is a little kind of video that we put together. It's very brief, but just to kind of give you an idea, as I said, these are the two theme parties we had, the 70s party and the dressed in white party. And this is the MOAA members. As I mentioned, everybody on board was MOAA members, and this is the MOAA members out having fun both those evenings. So Tim, if you don't mind hitting play.
Everybody say MOAA! We're doing video.
Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on the cruise. So I wanted to talk about how to reserve your spot on board. And I want to talk about this up front because it's important. So this is the deck plan. As you can see, a lot of the staterooms say they are sold. And so what we do is we kind of update this on a daily basis as the cabins sell, because when you go to book, we're going to ask you what stateroom you want. And so this you can kind of see what's less. So what we ask people to do is, because if you look at it, when you look at the suites, there's only 2 suites left, 534 and 535. Or if you want an ocean view stateroom, which are the most economical, we only have 3 of those left. That's the very top deck plan. So what we're going to ask you to do, if you go to the next slide, Tim, is if you go to the website, and you should have a link to this already. If not, we can send it to you. But you see that big blue circle in the corner that says book now. What we're going to ask you to do is fill out that booking form. It's really fairly simple. It's just going to ask for your name, your address, phone, and email, and which cabin number or cabin category you want. And then we receive those booking forms. And then in the order we receive them, because those booking forms will be date stamped with date and time, you'll be contacted in the order we receive your booking form. So for example, if you want a suite, there's only 2 suites left. So how do we know who has, I guess, first shot at those is the order that they do. So as soon as you decide you want to go, we had 300 people register for this webinar. I know we only have 80 some on it right now, but we only have 55 cabins left. Now we know from experience, that when we send this video out tonight to all 300 people who registered, not everybody who is watching this webinar is going to book, or some of the people who are watching it might already be booked. But in particular, if you want one of those suites or one of those ocean views, get us the booking form as quickly as possible. In fact, when we call you, we're going to ask what stateroom you want. So a lot of times people are particular. Now, it's not as important as some of these ships that, I'm on a Royal Caribbean once that had 5,500 passengers. So where you ended up in your stateroom could be a mile away from, the venues you want to attend to. So it's a small ship. So you're never that far from anything, I guess is what I'm going to say. But we are going to go, in the order those book now comes in is someone will reach out to you and say, what stateroom number do you want? What category do you want? Those types of things. So my last little thing before I turn it over to Tim is procedurally, just so we can track, fill out a book now form. We're not asking for a credit card number on it. When we get that form, somebody will call up. If you have any questions, they can answer them. Then they're going to get your credit card and make the deposit on your booking. So I know I've said it a bunch of times. I'll say it again at the end. As soon as you decide you want to go, fill out a book now form and send it in. Okay. Tim, I'm going to turn it over to you. As a reminder to everyone, I'm going to turn my camera off. I'm going to be answering questions during Tim's presentation. And then when Tim is done, we're going to do a Q&A at the end. So Tim, please take it away.
Thank you, sir. So one thing I want to point out that the picture that you had, the group picture that's on deck 5, I think it was Water's Edge. Just to point out that that sits only 30 feet off the water. It's just a stunning, stunning views from that particular deck. And the other thing I want to mention, John, is when you showed the deck plan, we have 10 staterooms that are on deck 3, but then most of all of our other staterooms are on deck 4 and deck 5 and deck 6.
Yeah.
So small, as John said, we only carry about 190 guests in total. So why Atlas? Because first of all, we've been around for about 4 years now, and we are an expedition company. So we don't obviously we do Antarctica, but we also do the Med, we do Northern Europe, Western Europe, and things of that nature. But we have intimate yachting expeditions. We have year-round expeditions. There's a lot of expedition companies out there that may not have year-round, but we have gotten into a little bit different area. I want to talk a little bit about our 3 pillars of distinction, which is that we're destination focused. We have intimate and elegant yachts, and our personalized service. It's amazing. And always included by Atlas. And I'll talk a little bit about what is included. As John mentioned, we typically will offer one possibly evening event for the group. But and then I also want to talk kind of about what our market position is. So we are an expedition company, and really, it's some of these photos are obviously of Antarctica, but it's a journey undertaken by a group of people with a particular purpose, especially that of exploration and discovery. So that's kind of what we're about. We do have year-round expeditions, as I mentioned. So we have polar expeditions, which of course pretty much maintain, Antarctica, the Arctic, but we also do Epicurean expeditions. And John showed a picture of one of the MOAA members that we had a cooking demonstration on board. We do that. Our culinary program on board is amazing. I don't care if you're in the polar regions or cultural or in the Med or Western Europe. Our culinary program is amazing, and I'm not going to go through. You can see where all the destinations that we do have. I do get a lot of questions, quite honestly, from guests and about, will you ever, be in North America? I honestly doubt it. I don't see us doing that. But obviously, you can see that we offer a lot of choices for you to experience. So yachting, when you think about yachting, it's the action, sport, or recreation of a sailing on a relatively small leisure vessel. And these vessels are amazing, beautiful, beautiful ships. And I'll talk a little bit about them in a second. So our yachts, we actually have 3 yachts. And for maybe if some of you that are on the call today, maybe you did sail the Greek Isles and you sailed on so if you sail on one of our vessels, they're all identical. That's the nice thing I love about my fleet, is because once you sail on one, you'll know exactly when you sail on us again where your stateroom is going to be, where you want to be. So, but they're beautiful, 10,000 gross registered ton vessels, gorgeous. We have a lot of outdoor space for an expedition product, and as you see that we do have pools and a pool. But the yachts are just absolutely stunning, and it's really interesting when I cruise, and I cruise maybe twice a year, just to listen to guests talk about the fact that it's John just mentioned about another cruise line that's got 5,000 people on it, and I love to hear the guests talk about the fact that they feel like they're on their own little yacht with 182 of their best friends, or 92 of their best friends. So again, we have the World Voyager. That's our newest vessel that just came into the fleet in October of last year. We have the World Traveler, and our first vessel is the World Navigator. Again, beautiful, beautiful vessels. And they're very intimate. So again, I don't need to get into the description of intimate, but just to tell you that you got little nooks and crannies on this vessel where, you can just relax, have a cup of coffee. This is one of my favorite areas, quite honestly, in the morning, because we have a to-go restaurant, if you will. It's called Paula's Pantry. I love to get a cup of coffee and just come and sit out. This is on the aft part of the ship, and we have one on deck 5 and deck 6, and just relax. And or in the evening, have a glass of wine or beer or whatever you want. So I also want to talk about our pillars of distinction. Again, that we're destination focused and personalized service. So destination focus, we're immersive cultural experiences, commitment to sustainability. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. We have more overnight and extended stays in port for an in-depth experience. And there's a lot to be said about that. Maybe we'll stay in port a lot longer than some of the other larger vessels. Then we have a small group of shore excursions for every activity level. And then we do have pre and post expedition hotel and land programs. Oops, sorry, my mouse is, there we go. So again, we have an immersive experience on every expedition. It may be a panoramic journey through Tarifaguego National Park, or, again, I won't go through everything, or a choir performance in a church in a tiny little Greenlandic town. There's a lot of different things that we can do while on board. And the nice thing about having yachts this small, I mean, the picture on the right-hand corner, my wife and I just did a Scotland to Trondheim, and this is going through the fjords. We were the only vessel cruising through the fjords, so it just tells you the size and how we were able to navigate. And then if you look on the top right, with that vessel, it's literally 50 yards off of land. So makes your experience great. Again, we have a lot of different things, especially in Antarctica. We have geologists, zoologists, and the med. We do the gastronomic guests, a lot of cooking demonstrations, and in Northern Europe, astronomers, museums. So there's a lot that we offer on board our vessels. And we do have our commitment to sustainability. These are state-of-the-art polar class vessels, and we follow all the guidelines. So rest assured, that's happening. And these are intimate and elegant yachts. At the bottom line, we have two lounges. The one on the top left, that is our dome lounge. Beautiful. It's on deck 7, and it has a 270 degree of all the floor to ceiling windows. And the left-hand corner, this is a unique stateroom that we offer. It's basically, it's called like a Juliet balcony, and this is just one where the window would go half down. We have about 24 of those, and then the rest all have balconies. We have an elegant main restaurant, and then like I said, we have two bars. The other bar is the Atlas Lounge, which is on the one below. And that's the first thing that you'll see when you come on board. You'll be greeted by a staff member. They'll walk you through any questions you may have, and then they'll escort you back up to your cabin. Truly, I've been in the cruise business 31 years, and truly the most beautiful bathrooms I've ever seen, for sure. These are marble spa baths, and we have the big showers. And again, for a vessel of this size, it's really, really cool. And for those of you that may know a little bit about L'Occitane Spa, that's our bath amenities, and they actually manage our spa facilities. So we have accommodations anywhere from 183 square feet up to 465 square feet, and that would be we have 10 suites on board. The service level on board, I have to say, is some of the best probably the best I've had in this industry. And I want to just give you a really quick story. The personalized service, it's amazing how quickly, and I don't know, John, if you experienced this when you were on, but it's amazing how quickly in one day, I could pretty much guarantee you that after one day, they'll know who you are, they'll know what you want. And this happened to me about a year and a half ago. I took my brother-in-law to Antarctica, And we sailed actually on the World Voyager. And, we went up to the lounge every night before dinner, and he always had a Manhattan. And okay, so we got off the ship. Fast forward 9 months, he goes back on the vessel with his wife and my sister-in-law. And he goes up to the Dome Lounge, and the bartender, his name is John, my brother-in-law, and the bartender says, "Welcome back, Mr. John. What kind of Manhattan would you like tonight?" This was 9 months later. So our staff is absolutely incredible. It's pretty much a 1-to-1 guest to staff ratio. We do have butlers that are dedicated if they're in a suite, but really and truly, it's just amazing, amazing staff. Whoops, having a problem with my mouse. So always included by Atlas. We're not all inclusive, but we pretty much include most things, but the immersive experience I talked about, gourmet dining with ever-changing menus. They're not the same menu every night. We do have open seating dining. The bars and lounges serving fine wines. We have specialty coffees, and that's kind of what Paula's Pantry is all about. Also, Paula's Pantry is, as I mentioned before, it's kind of a to-go. Um, um, it's almost like a Starbucks, but it's better than Starbucks. Sorry. And so people go and it's open from 6:30 in the morning till 6:30 at night. And if you're on a shore excursion and you miss breakfast, or if you just come back and you want to have a bite to eat, there's sandwiches, there's desserts and things like that. So it's really cool. We have 24-hour room service. So that's pretty consistent, and it's really amazing when you think about room service. It's great because again, we're only talking a total of 6 decks, in total 7 decks. And so when you order something, trust me, it'll be there very, very quickly. Gratuities are included on board. We have binoculars and walking sticks for those that want to use those. And I did mention a little bit about the butler service. And this is something I'd like to bring up simply because, we include it, and it's trip delay and medical evacuation coverage. So just want to let you know about that. Some additional services that we have, if you're not in this particular case, and we would like if you're going to Antarctica, we do have charters and things of that nature, but spa treatments, Wi-Fi, up to 1 gigabyte that we have free service, reserve wines and spirits, and kayaking and camping and things of that nature, like when you're in Antarctica. So again, intimate yachting expeditions create connection, and so it's absolutely awesome. Again, I don't care if you're in Antarctica or Western Europe or the Med, wherever it may be, you just seem to connect. It's really amazing how many guests establish other relationships with other guests. I mean, obviously with MOAA, it's a different story because pretty much everybody on the vessel was a MOAA member, what have you, and so it just creates a really nice connection for sure. So let me talk about this cruise that John and Mike had come up with, and this is a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous uh, cruise. It's a 9-day, and you would start in Dublin, and it starts on Thursday. We depart at 6 p.m. And then what happens? What I like about this. There's a little bit of everything. You get 2 sea days, but then you also get to overnight in Bordeaux, France, and I'll go through a couple of the destinations, but really a great itinerary. And then you'll end your voyage in Porto, Portugal. That's actually where our headquarters is, in Porto. So I just want to talk about Dublin. Obviously, there's a lot to do in Dublin, and as John mentioned, I think that there's maybe some pre-packages or what have you if you want to look into that. But Dublin's it's a bustling, cosmopolitan, ancient, and young at heart, all at once. It's just a great destination, and so this is a great. Obviously, if you want to go in a little bit early, I would always recommend that to go in a couple days early and enjoy Dublin. And then we'll head to Waterford. Now, Waterford obviously is known for their crystal, and just this is a cute little town. It's a 13th century Viking defensive tower that we got here in the picture. And just everything about it. It's just a great destination. And if I believe I just looked at the itinerary, I think you're there pretty much all day, which is very nice. And then La Rochelle, France. This I have not personally been to, but a lot of my colleagues have, and they say it's absolutely gorgeous. Just with the old harbor, the old town contains, just a ton, medieval towers, arches, cathedrals, and all of that. So great destination also. And then we'll go to Bordeaux. Obviously, with Bordeaux, you think about wine, and this is really, I've been here and I think it's absolutely phenomenal. You have a lot of history, and obviously you have a lot of great wines to over what, 9,000, I think, wine producing. Yeah, over 9,000. So it's another great destination. And Bilbao, Spain, it's on the northern edge of the Iberian Peninsula. It is absolutely beautiful. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Venice, but you've got the Guggenheim Museum. Again, a lot of history here, and but it's just a really cute. A lot of canals, and you've got the gardens, and again, just a wonderful destination. And this is one of my favorites, just because of the size of it. It's so small. It's a beautiful small little island, and you've got the botanical gardens, the Roman baths, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And this is a picture that actually one of my colleagues took as they were sailing into, at the time, they were sailing into Gijón, Spain. And then, oh, I'm sorry. Then we end up in Porto, and again, obviously, I would recommend that you spend some time in Porto. It is a beautiful area. Do an extra night or do a couple extra nights, but it's just really a fantastic area. So, John, I'm going to turn it back to you and see if we have any questions. John? Where'd John go?
I'm sitting here talking with my mute still on. Sorry. So we had a couple of people email questions in. I'll get to those in a second. So just a reminder, if you have any questions, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a little conversation box with a question mark in it that says Q&A. Just type your questions in there. If you do not see that little Q&A icon, there's a circle with 3 dots in it that says more. If you click on that circle that says more, it will show you all of the icons, and then you'll be able to see that Q&A and answer your questions there. So we had a couple of questions in. Somebody asked for the link to the Book Now form. If you go to the website for this website, and it would have been in either the MOAA message or the invitation you got, it's there. But I went ahead and just dropped that Book Now link. So if you go to the questions and answers, if you look at the opens where you see when people ask them, there's a button that says answered. If you click on that, the very first one at the top, somebody says, where's the Book Now form? You can click on that link and it will take you right to the form where you fill it out. As I mentioned before, name, address, email, phone, and then they're going to ask for what cabin accommodation you want. You can put in specific cabin number or type of cabin, and then somebody will call you for your credit card. So make sure that you include the phone number so they can call you. Somebody else asked about the deck plan. I should have mentioned this. When I showed that deck plan earlier, I only showed the 3 decks that have staterooms on them. So there are the ocean view staterooms on deck 3. I didn't show deck 4. Deck 4 is public areas. Deck 5 and 6 are once again accommodations. There are some, if you look at the deck plan, for example, the water's edge where we took the group photo is on deck 5. So it's not exclusively that. And then there's a deck 7, which is also public areas. So there's only 3 decks that accommodations are available on. So I should have said that before. So you can do ocean view on deck 3, and then deck 5 and deck 6 are also accommodations. One thing that I wanted to add about the accommodations is if you're familiar with what Atlas calls Juliet balconies, because they offer both. What people normally think of when they have a balcony is a balcony you can step out on. There's like 2 chairs and a little table there. And so those are balcony staterooms. They also have what they call Juliet balconies, and that's where your stateroom has floor to ceiling windows, and the top half of the window comes down, and it almost makes the window like a railing you can lean on and lean over. Those staterooms are the exact same size, so that square footage that goes to that walkout balcony is additional room you have in your stateroom. So when you're trying to decide, do you want a standard balcony or a Juliet balcony, just know the Juliet balcony rooms are going to be larger, and then the balcony staterooms will allow you to step out. So it's just a,
If I can just add, if I can add on to
yeah.
that, John. Yeah, so it's 200, the standard balconies, well, I say standard balconies, um, or cabins, they're 270 square feet. 56 of that square foot is the actual veranda. So if you decide to take one of the Juliet rooms, so basically you're losing that, but you're gaining that in the cabin itself. So you'll have 270 square feet in the cabin. Now I will also add this though, but you know I've sailed typically in the B1s or B2s, or one time I sailed in the Juliet balcony room, and I got to tell you, 270 square feet, it's more than enough room, especially if you have the balcony too. So there's a couple other things I wanted to add on to with the staterooms themselves. Um, they're really well appointed, really well appointed, and we do have espresso. We have coffee there, coffees in the rooms themselves. I did mention that we have 24-hour room service, but just the beauty of the vessel is amazing. It's, you know, again, the oldest vessel we have is what, 3.5 years old. So just the lines of it is absolutely beautiful, and so. But a couple other things I just wanted to mention. I did mention about on deck five, where you only sit 30 feet above the water, but we do have a lot of outdoor space. Like on deck four, we have an extension to our regular, because our main dining room is on deck four, and in if it's like not in the winter, obviously, but so we have actually a restaurant outside too, so you could relax there. But if you're on deck five, again, I mentioned before, but you could go to the aft part of the vessel and you could sit outside and just enjoy the views. On deck six, you can do the same thing. And then you could go up to deck seven and you could go to the bow of the vessel right in front of the dome lounge. Again, stunning views, or you could go the aft part of the vessel. But then we do also have it's a track. It's on deck eight. I mean, it's I can tell you because I ran it several times, and I think it's 18 laps for a mile. But we do have a little bit of equipment up there. We do have a fitness center. I mentioned that we do have a spa facility. We have a theater. I know John mentioned that. So on deck four, that's where most of the public areas are that John talked about. So you've got the main restaurant, you've got Paula's Pantry, you've got our gift shop. You have L'Occitane Spa, and then you have the reception area, and then you have the Atlas Lounge, which typically a lot of our guests do before dinner because it's right down from the main restaurant. And then we do have a theater, and John mentioned that before. The theater is absolutely beautiful. It can seat every single guest at the same time. So the thing about this vessel is when you actually sail on it, it just feels intimate and it's beautiful, and I would love for you to join us because it's amazing. And I also, John, before I let you talk again, I've known John for 30 some years, and I've worked with John for a long time, and I don't know of anybody that does it better than John and his team. They are amazing. You know, he talks about the fact that somebody will go on this cruise. He's going to go on this cruise, and he's there. And I got to tell you, I talked to after your Greek Isle cruise that you just took, John. I talked to the hotel director just about a week ago, and he says, you know, he said that John. He says he never left the ship. He was always at his desk and always there. I mean, he did leave a couple times. So, but John, kudos to you and your team. But I really hope that those listening will experience this fantastic product that we have. It's fantastic. And again, I've been doing this for a long time. There you go, John.
I will say that both before we did this cruise, both myself and Mike Tyrell, if you haven't talked to him yet, Mike's the VP here, both sailed on Atlas, and it's just a phenomenal product. I will say I left the ship one time, and that's because when I saw how much everybody dressed up for the 70s party, I didn't think I'd be able to slide by with tan slacks. So I got off in Turkey and bought white pants. So there you go. That was my one, but I'm there to make sure everybody has fun. So
Yeah.
not a problem whatsoever. Okay, we got a number of other questions.
Okay.
Somebody asked about the itinerary for the 10-day Reykjavik to Dublin. I posted that. We have a website for the signature group where we have a half dozen tabs, probably more than that, actually 8 tabs, I think. And so there's one that's pricing and accommodations, and it goes through. And if you scroll down, it starts out with the pricing, then it has the deck plan for the ship. But if you scroll down, we have a picture and an overview of all the different stateroom categories. So if you're trying to decide which one you want, that's a great resource. Because somebody else asked if we could show the slide again with the staterooms. I think there's a lot more information on each individual stateroom type, so I shared that. Okay, we're going to go through these questions. Somebody said interested in Greek cruise, anything for 2027. Atlas has not yet released their schedule for 2027. I can tell you that we are looking at, based upon the feedback that we had from this Greek Isles cruise, we did one 2025, we have one in 2026. We hope to offer another one in 2027. But we just did Greece. If you're looking for a MOAA group or a MOAA signature group, since we just did Greece a month ago, we will not do Greece again till probably 2030 at the soonest, because there's so many destinations to go to. That being said, it wouldn't be a MOAA group, but if you individually wanted to go to Greece, you absolutely could book through that through Atlas. As we mentioned, you get the guaranteed lowest price, plus you get that amenity. Tim, do you have an idea of when the 2027 itinerary will release? Probably not for another month or two, correct?
Well, actually, there are some sailings that we have.
That's right.
For Q1 because of Antarctica, but I'd say within a month everything will be out.
Okay, we had an email question about this, and then somebody else asked about handicap accessibility. If you look at that deck plan, you have 2 cabins that show they're accessible, but they can have walkers, correct? But scooters and wheelchairs are. You talk about
They have to have a certain size wheelchair, and I think Mike had checked for another MOAA member on this past med cruise. It's got to be a certain size because quite honestly the elevators themselves are pretty small. So obviously walkers, and then when you get into a port, obviously then you can get one when you get into port to get around.
Well,
but
yeah, gotcha. Go ahead. I was
what's
going
that?
to talk about import because that's a completely different issue as far as accessibility on the ship. So,
Accessibility, I think is pretty good. I mean,
I'm saying on board. The thing that you need to keep in mind when you're off the ship is yours does not have ADA. So you're going to have issues getting on and off the bus, and then a lot of stairs and roads and those types of things. So if you have a question about accessibility, you should call us or send us an email, and we will have Mike Tyrell, our VP, answer that for you. Because we want to make sure that if you go, you understand what those restrictions are going to be. Somebody asked about the schedule behind 2026. As Tim said, I think the first half or the first 5 months of 2027 is on the website with the more to follow. Okay. Laundry for those not in suites. They do not have self-service laundry. They do have, if you're used to hotels where you have the bag and you put stuff in, and it's like, I don't know, $3 per pair of shorts and $4 for a t-shirt and pairs of slacks, and you put it in a bag. Your cabin steward takes it, and the next day you have your clothes back. We do know now, after being on it, they do once a week allow you to take that bag and cram as much into it as you want, and they charge $39.99. And the same kind of thing. You put everything in that bag, you put it on your bed, you just put on the price where you add the total, you just put $39.99 or the onboard special. So they do have that opportunity to have as much as you can fit in that bag. It's the standard size bag for $40, but there is not self-service laundry. Are there solo travelers on these trips? Yes, we get a lot of solo travelers, Carol. My understanding is there's 60,000 single members in MOAA, something around that number. So we always get a good number of solo travelers on this. You will see that we have single rates for all the staterooms except the suites. They run about a 50% single supplement if you look at that. We also do a single share program. We started this, the very first signature group we did was in 2019. And we have people that we paired up. So if you wanted to avoid that single supplement, we would find, if you're a female solo traveler or a male solo traveler, you'd find someone, the same sex kind of deal, put you in touch. You can talk via phone, email, text, whatever you want to do, and then decide if you'd like to partner up. But I can say we have people that we partnered up back in 2029 who have continued to travel together, both on MOAA groups and not on MOAA groups, because if you're a solo traveler, it is not a one-time issue. In almost all cases, you're always looking for someone to go with. So that is something that we offer as well for a solo traveler. Somebody asked about dress. Literally the only dress kind of code or whatever I would say is the recommended attire for the dressed in white party and the 70s party, where we said we have theme parties. Other than that, during the day, wear whatever you want, whatever it's going to be comfortable for the weather. I will say, for all the signature groups, we do a meeting about 30 days prior to everybody departing for the group, during which we will kind of go through everything. We'll talk about weather and packing tips and everything else. So, we talk about this concierge level of service. It is literally us about 30 days before you go, get everybody together who's going to be on the cruise and go through everything and answer all questions. But, typically what you'll get when we talk about attire is for like dinner, no shorts, no t-shirts,
Right.
no flip-flops is kind of what we say. We don't really have to adhere to Atlas's restrictions when we have the entire ship. But for the benefit of your fellow travelers, that kind of thing. The only kind of exception to that would be is if you were going to a religious site. Not really a lot of that on this itinerary, but sort of like when we did Greece, or Italy's famous for that, is if you're going to certain religious sites, they're gonna want some level of decorum, skirts past your knees, hidden shoulders, that kind of stuff.
I would say we're more resort casual than anything.
Resort casual is a perfect word for that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I mean, sport coats, if the gentleman want to wear a sport coat, but to be honest with you, I think I wore a sport coat the first time I went on, and I didn't do it the rest of all my other cruises. So we're very just resort casual, but again, we're pretty strict about like jeans and for dinner. That's a
Well,
no.
shorts for dinner. I wouldn't say jeans.
Or shorts. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, shorts.
not
Yeah,
jeans.
yeah.
Tanya asked any plans for Sweden, Finland, or Norway. Tanya, we have not made a final determination yet on what we are going to do in 2027. Kind of the way this works is Mike and myself work with Atlas, come up with a recommendation. We send that recommendation to MOAA National, and MOAA National has the final say on what we do. So we have not decided yet. That's if you're looking to go on a MOAA signature group or a MOAA group. Atlas absolutely offers that, Tanya, if you were interested in going on your own. Anonymous, special activities available in 2 days at sea. Absolutely. One of the things, as I think I mentioned about Greece, is, we're talking 2026, so it's still a ways off, but we will look at those types of things and start filling them in. For example, there's two brothers, Guy and Michael Rubino. They do villa vacations. We offer those as well. It's completely different. It's for like 16, 18 people. One of the brothers is a chef, the other's a sommelier. And so the group will go and they'll get a villa and you'll stay there for a week. And so you'll have somebody mixing your drinks and making you dinner and that kind of thing. We brought them on the Greek Isles cruise. We're happy to say that they're going to be on this cruise as well. So they will be on board. So those days at sea, you can expect them to do cooking demonstrations. I mentioned everybody had a lot of fun with the cooking contest. So absolutely what we want to do, and Tim kind of echoed what I said, there's a lot of little nooks and crannies and places you can go where it's quiet, you can relax, read a book, take a nap or whatever. But we like to have stuff going on elsewhere on the ship. There'll be music, there's the live music that's going on, those types of things. I typically do a presentation during these. So yes, there will be activities. As that is put together, we'll have more information, but I can tell you for sure, I will do a presentation Q&A, and the Rubinos will be on board. We'll have a couple of cooking demonstrations. We'll have the cooking contest for sure, and we'll be adding additional events as we get forward. A question about handicap. As I said, we want to make sure that we know your specific needs and what specifically is available on board. So give us a call or drop us an email. Actually talk to Mike, or if you already have a cruise consultant or whomever you speak to when you call or email, and ask them and let them know your specific situation. And then we'll coordinate with Atlas to make sure you exactly know what is going on in that situation. Fitness center description, please. I don't know how to describe it other than I have pictures of it, I guess I could send. I took a bunch of pictures and videos when I was on board this sailing. By the way, one of the neat things we do in these signature groups is MOAA sets up a photo sharing page. So everybody takes pictures during the week and they upload their pictures, and then that becomes accessible on the MOAA.org website, where you can go in and download any pictures you want. For this Greece cruise, we had over 1,000 photos that people uploaded. So I took a bunch of pictures or whatever, but the fitness center, it's small, it's a small ship. So, all the areas are, the spa is not, obviously, if you have a ship that's got 5,500 passengers, the fitness center is going to be huge. I can tell you that on our cruise, there was never, my table on the Greek Isles cruise was right next to the fitness center. You literally had to walk behind my table to get in there. There was never a time on the sailing for the 7-night Athens cruise where somebody went in there and there was not a machine available. But there are limited machines. I think there's like one bike, one treadmill, one stair climber. They have some free weights, whatever. There's 180 guests on board. So the fitness center is designed to be large enough to handle that number of people. And as I said, we had 160 plus people on the Greek Isles cruise, and there was never a time when somebody went in and came out and sat down and said, "Oh, I'm waiting to get a machine." So
I have to agree with that 100%.
I guess what I would
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So and the ship we were on is the newest ship. They've actually moved the fitness center from where it was. I went on the Navigator this year. Next year we're doing the Voyager. The fitness center is actually a little bit larger and has been moved on this ship, but it's adequate. I don't know another way to describe it other than adequate. If I'm not traveling alone, how much is it for 1 or 2 additional guests? Also, our drink package is available. Well, Tim and I didn't do our job if we didn't let you know that drinks are included. So all your food's included, all your beverages are included. Now they do have some upgraded, I guess I would say, drinks. So you go to the bar, you want a Johnny Walker Red or a Johnny Walker Black, you're fine. If you want Johnny Walker Blue, there is going to be a charge for that. They have wine at dinner. If you want to get bottled wine, they have like a premium wine list. But one thing to mention about that, you can also buy wine when you're off the ship and bring it on board and have that served at dinner. So beverage package is already included. As far as 1 or 2 additional guests, there are a few staterooms that have triple accommodations. None of the staterooms allow quad. So if you go to that pricing and accommodations page, it should indicate which staterooms are available for triple occupancy. It's like kind of underneath it, it says the following cabin categories have triple occupancy. If that's what you're interested in a triple, just give us a call, drop us an email. We can let you know what that third person is going to cost, but no quad. So if you have 4 people going, you're going to need to get 2 staterooms. Another one, gratuities are included for everybody on board. I can tell you a lot of people on this sailing were asking me about doing additional tipping, the Greek Isles one I just got off of, but it's already included. Everyone, your cabin stewards, your waiters, your bartenders, the maitre d', head waiter, all those gratuities are already included. Now, if you're off doing shore excursions and you have a tour guide and you have a bus driver, I'm trying to remember, it was the suggestion for your driver was €1 per person, and for the tour guide was €2. So just a little something, I guess. But once again, that's up to you if you want to tip anybody when you're off the ship. But on the ship, all of your gratuities are included. What happens in the theater? Well, a lot of things happen in the theater. I know that's where they have all the shore excursion talks. By the way, everything that occurs in the theater is broadcast into your stateroom. So you don't, for example, if there's a shore excursion talk at 10 a.m. and you get up and you have breakfast, then you work out or go to the spa or whatever, you're back in your stateroom, you can literally watch the shore excursion talk from the TV in your room. But they'll do the shore excursion talks in there. That's where I do my talking Q&A. And then they have some performances in there as well. Tim, talk about the performances in the theater.
Yeah, we don't do a lot. We do have some performances in the theater, but as John said, a lot of it's like if we have expedition teams on board or what have you. A lot of talks about, like John mentioned, shore excursions. We do have, once in a while we have we have local entertainment come on board. If they're not in the Dome Lounge, they'll be in the theater. And periodically, we do show movies. It's a theater, so. Yeah.
Do you have a rowing machine in the exercise room? Unlike Tim, who worked out, I did not work out on board. I think so. Tim, do you know?
There is, yes, there is one. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Do you allow members of the expedition team to socialize with passengers? I would assume that's a yes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Laundry service, we talked about that before. There is no self-service laundry. There is laundry service. Think of it how it is in 90% of the hotels around the world, where you have a bag and they have a sheet and you mark off what you're sending to this pair of slack, dress, socks, whatever it is. Once a week during the cruise, they allow you to fill out an entire bag of laundry, and it's $40 for the bag of laundry. The no smoking policy. Well, smoking's not allowed anywhere on the ship except
there's one area on deck 7.
Deck 7.
It's outdoors. It's right by the pool area.
Yep.
Other than that, there's no smoking anywhere.
I don't recall, and I was mostly at my table, so I wasn't walking around a lot, but I don't recall anybody smoking.
No cigars either, for sure. No cigars.
Anonymous. I don't know if it's the same person or one person with a bunch of questions. Can we request no karaoke? Well, one of the things that I think is great, for those who've been on river cruises before, and we do a river cruise signature group every year. We tried doing an Alaska cruise on a cruise line, NCL, for those who matter, and it was not the signature experience because our group of 150 were on a ship with 2,800 people, and that's not the experience that we try to produce. If you've been on river cruises before, they basically have one lounge. A lot of times they'll have one real small one that probably accommodate 20 people, and then the dining room. There are 2 lounges. There's the Atlas Lounge and the Dome Lounge. So if they're doing karaoke in the Atlas Lounge, which is where we did it on the Greek Isles cruise, you could go up to the Dome Lounge if you wanted. The other thing would be I'm trying to remember correctly, I think the karaoke started at 10:15 at night. So we had dinner, and then we had our cruise director is a former, Broadway performer, singer. So he had his show, and it was after his show ended at 10:15 that we did karaoke. So it's not like it will interrupt your cruise if you're that adamant against karaoke and you don't want to sing along with your fellow members. There are plenty of other places on the ship you can go. You can go up on the pool deck. You can go to Paul's Pantry. You can go to the Dome Lounge and those types of places. So you are not required to attend any event that you do not want to retire or to attend. You're not required. What is the average price on excursions? That's an interesting one. I would guess maybe around 100 per person.
I'd say between 75 to 100 per person.
75 and 100. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could certainly kind of try to get that information for you. It depends, once again, a lot of these excursions are dependent on what you want to do. The walking tours are typically a lot less expensive than the more exorbitant ones. It's sort of like if somebody asked on an Alaska cruise, what's the average shore excursion cost? And I'm like, well, are you taking a helicopter to land on a glacier? Or are you going to do a walking tour, of wherever you might be? My mind goes blank anyway. But we can kind of look that up. Reasonable, I'd say. And of course, you're free to go on your own if you'd like. But a lot of their excursions are great. Didn't really hear a lot of negative comments on the excursions. Is there plenty of Diet Coke? I'm going to be honest. Tim, do you guys have Diet Coke on board?
You know what? I don't drink Diet Coke, so I don't.
So I don't
I
know.
think it's actually Pepsi. But actually, when we're
They
in
have
Europe,
Coke products. They have Coke products because I'm not.
Yeah,
a
they do have Coke
drinker,
products,
but
so,
I know a couple of times I saw people drinking Coke. Is it Coke? A lot of times places
Coke Zero.
do Coke Zero or Diet Coke. I was just going to say they may have Coke Zero, not Diet Coke. So, anyway, that's an interesting question to end on. All right, so quick reminder, we're going to take this video, we have to download it, we're going to edit it, and then upload it to YouTube. Both of those take a while. The uploading to YouTube, for an hour-long video could take, 30, 45 minutes, if not longer. It all depends on how many people are uploading videos at that time. But sometime this evening, you will get an email. It will have a link to this video. Keep in mind, you can bring friends and family, so feel free to share the video with them if you'd like. And then a lot of these questions that people ask about links, I'm going to go ahead and include those in there. So not only a link to the website, but if you want to see the accommodations, click here. If you want to see the pre and post options, click here and that kind of stuff. And then, of course, as a reminder, when you decide to go, fill out that book now form. That will obviously be included in the email as well. And then when we get that, we get that date and time stamp. We had, the last I looked, we had 293 people registered for this webinar. So that email this evening will go out to 293 people. So once again, no pressure, but when you decide to go, fill out that book now form, get yourself in that queue. Someone will reach out to you, and then you can pick from the remaining cabins. I have seen a few forms have come in already during the webinar. So I certainly hope you can join us. I'd love cruising with you. I don't know another way to say what a phenomenal time everybody had on Atlas. Phenomenal feedback from everybody who went on it. Everyone loved the ship. They loved the staff. Everything was great about the cruise. I had a wonderful time, literally more fun than I've had on a lot of these signature groups that I've escorted. It is just going to be a fun cruise with plenty to do or nothing to do, whichever you'd prefer. Tim, on behalf of myself, everybody at MOAA Vacations, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend with us today. We know you're really busy, and I'll turn it over to you for the final word.
I really appreciate it, John, to have this opportunity. And we would welcome everybody on this call on board. It's a fabulous product, and we would love to have you on board.
There you go.
Come join us.
Look forward to sailing with you. Everyone have a great week, and we hope to hear from you soon. Bye.
Thank you.